Okay guys, this video is an extension to the last video I did about Abraham Lincoln and the solar eclipse rituals associated with the Abraham Lincoln tomb and the USS Abraham Lincoln. This time around I want to show you the eclipse rituals to the JFK tomb. There is solar and lunar eclipse rituals associated with the JFK assassination and the JFK tomb here. A lot of symbolism. There's kind of a, this isn't overly complicated, but there's kind of a lot to cover here. So hopefully I can present it to you in a semi-decent way so you can understand this. So I'm going to be throwing a lot of numbers at you. If you're not familiar with my channel, I show the number coding from the Book of Revelation, and specifically the Wormwood event from Revelation 8:11, the falling Wormwood star. And I'm going to show you the rituals to Wormwood as well in this video. A lot of the information I'm going to show you is kind of a recap from this Part 3, Lincoln City, Wormwood, and the Revelation Eclipses. I've talked about the coming blood moon eclipse on January 20th and 21st, 2019. I consider this one of my best videos that I've done. There's a lot of great information there. I'll leave a link in the description to help you understand what I'm showing here a lot better. Let's see. I'll start with the presidential assassination and Wormwood rituals that I kind of went over in the last video and shown before, but I'll just do a quick recap here. This is a list of the presidents in the order of their death. And if we look at Abraham Lincoln, he was the first president to be assassinated, and John F. Kennedy was the last president to be assassinated, and they were the 13th and 31st presidential deaths overall. So you have 1331, and if we look at that as a time on the clock, 1331 is the 811th minute of the day. And if we look at the last two presidential assassinations, William McKinley and John F. Kennedy, was a total of 62 years, 2 months, and 9 days, a total span of time between their deaths, and 6229 is the 811th prime number for the Revelation Wormwood ritual. And if we look at our Google Earth here, you can see that the first president to be assassinated, we have the Lincoln Memorial, points directly to the JFK tomb, which was the last president to be assassinated. And of course the first and the last, it's also a reference to the Alpha and the Omega. And I've shown how that is associated with Revelation 8:11 as well. But what I really want to show you guys is how this JFK tomb and complex represents a lunar and solar eclipse, and it encodes the Great American Eclipse and the coming blood moon on January 21st, 2019. And I'm going to be talking about this date again. I've covered this before, but 12/31/2019, which is 955 weeks after 9/11, and the coming blood moon is 905 weeks and 5 days, like another 955. 905 weeks and 5 days after 9/11. I'm going to show you the Giza pyramid rituals associated with the Kennedy assassination and the eclipse as well. And also I've shown this before, but I'll show this number again. There's 346 weeks between the eclipses that form an X over Carbondale, Illinois. And of course Illinois is the land of Lincoln. And first I want to show you well, I'll talk about this real quick. Talk about how these are rituals, and just a real basic definition of a ritual is that it is a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order, and all these presidential assassinations and other events surrounding them are connected to astronomical alignments, such as solar and lunar eclipses and planetary alignments, and I've shown that before. I had the video on the Great Conjunction and how that is associated with the JFK assassination as well. And in order to, I guess, avoid an argument about cosmology, I'm just going to call this the Freemason model of a lunar eclipse. But it's important that I show you this because it's how the JFK tomb is encoded here with the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. So the model of a lunar eclipse is we have the sun casts its light onto the earth, and then it forms the eclipse or shadow onto the moon for our lunar eclipse. And if we look at the JFK gravesite here, the eternal flame would represent the sun. This courtyard here, this round courtyard, you can see it's being eclipsed by the sun. This would represent the earth. And this structure right here, this is the Women in Military Service for America Memorial. This represents the moon right here. This is the moon. So we have a lunar eclipse model, sun, earth, and moon. And how do we know for sure that this is the moon? Because in Egyptian mythology, the moon is referred to as Isis, the female goddess Isis. So we have the sun, earth, and moon. We have Ra, earth, and Isis. And that's why the moon is represented by the women's memorial, because it's the female goddess. And how do we know for sure that we're referring to Egyptian mythology and a lunar eclipse in reference to the JFK assassination? If we look at the JFK assassination, that was on 11/22/1963. If we look at the last total lunar eclipse before the assassination, it was on September 5th, 1960. So if we look at this date span here, I guess it's a time between dates actually, but from the last lunar eclipse before the assassination, it was 3 years, 2 months, and 17 days. And if we look at this number, 3217, it's the 455th prime number, which is a reference to the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is 455 feet, and which can also be expressed as 138.8 meters. And another part of this ritual for the Great Pyramid, I first learned about this from the Matthew Nicholson channel. I'll leave a link in the description for his channel. But the supposedly, or the story that we're told, is that Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated JFK from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. And this building is built on an elevation of 455 feet, which is a reference to the Great Pyramid. And you can see here also, this building was added to the National Historic Landmark District on April 19th, 1993. I already have it plugged in here, but April 19th, 1993, and if we go to the 56th anniversary of the JFK assassination, it's 1,387 weeks and 4 days, so you're right in the middle of the 1,388th week which again is a reference to the height of the Great Pyramid. So we have the JFK flame representing the sun. We have the courtyard here as the Earth and the Moon. And this represents the solar eclipse, or excuse me, the lunar eclipse portion of this. There's a solar eclipse also encoded into this complex. So if we look at the JFK flame gravesite as representing the sun, then we have the moon right here, and then this courtyard here would represent the Earth. So then we have our model of the solar eclipse, sun, moon, Earth, the moon casts its shadow onto the Earth. And this represents this alignment here with the sun, moon, and Earth represents the Great American Eclipse on August 21st, 2017, because it points directly to the Lincoln Memorial. And the Great American Eclipse made landfall in the United States in Lincoln City, Oregon. It was the first city in the path of totality to make landfall in the United States was Lincoln City. And how does this connect with the blood moon coming up? How is that connected to the eclipse, the Great American Eclipse? If we look at the total time here, from the lunar eclipse before the assassination to the coming blood moon eclipse in 2019, we have 3,046 weeks between those lunar eclipses, and this is a reference to the time between the two eclipses that form an X over Illinois. It's 346 weeks. We disregard that 0 for the 346. I also want to show you how this is a Wormwood ritual. If we look at this Women in Military Service for America Memorial, we look at this. This memorial was established on October 17th, 1997. And if we go to 12/31/2019, which is 955 weeks after 9/11, and one of the possible dates I'm looking at for the grand finale of the Wormwood event, or World War III, that is 8,110 days between those dates for your Wormwood ritual. No coincidence there. And also, if you look at this amount of days here, this 8,110 days, is also 22-21% of a common year. Almost 22-22, but 22-21 is the 404th and final verse of Revelation as well. So you can see, I guess hopefully that shows without a shadow of a doubt that this JFK complex and Lincoln Memorial are all set up to represent a lunar and solar eclipse. The Great American Eclipse, and then the coming blood moon, and then the total lunar eclipse before the assassination, how that's all connected.